Madam President, thank you, Mr. President. Madam President, dear colleagues, Mr. Minister, who would have thought a few weeks ago that the United States would support at the UN, with China, with North Korea, a Russian resolution against Ukraine? Who would have thought that its president would one day say that he would recover Greenland, a European territory, I quote, in one way or another? What is happening across the Atlantic is not a simple disengagement. It is a complete reversal of alliances. I never thought I would say this, but today, the facts are there. In a world where, for 20 years, Russia and China have massively increased their defense spending, the White House, under Donald Trump, is no longer our ally. Our world is increasingly hostile, and we must draw two conclusions from this. The first is that we must know how to defend ourselves. So, Madam President, yes, let's buy European, invest European, produce European. Yes, 100 times yes to these 800 billion euros, to removing defense from our budgetary rules, and even to a common loan. And yes to a European preference. Otherwise, our money will still go to feed other economies like ours. Without a European preference, there is no strategic autonomy, and therefore no sovereignty. But we must also say things. We will need more. We will therefore have to work very quickly, Madam President, on the Eurobonds proposed by Parliament and by a certain number of governments in Europe. We must also work on how we mobilize the savings of Europeans. And the strategic issue, of course, is money. But not only that. Coordination will be key. Our armies, our million European soldiers, must be able to work together. We must also move forward on the European benefit of nuclear deterrence, without, of course, calling into question the sovereign national decision to activate it. It is only under these conditions that we will preserve peace for our fellow citizens. And the urgent need to ensure our security is also to continue to support Ukraine. Because the security of Ukrainians is also our security. Donald Trump's decision to stop arms deliveries and intelligence sharing reminds us of one thing. We must take our destiny into our own hands. Continue to try to convince the American administration that it is making a mistake, obviously. But in the meantime, accelerate our aid to Ukraine and be proactive in providing security guarantees for Ukraine and for ourselves. And this includes sending European troops to maintain peace once an agreement has been reached. We must deter the Russian threat once and for all. The second conclusion to be drawn is that our democratic model is under attack. In the East by Russian interference, and in the West by the Trump camp. And by the allies of this reactionary international right here in this chamber. And Mr. Procaccini, when you claim that the United States has given more money and more support to Ukraine than Europe, that is false. You know this perfectly well, and in this sense, you are repeating both Trump's propaganda and the Kremlin's propaganda. We stand with Ukraine. We have been at Ukraine's side from the beginning, and we will continue to do so until peace is achieved. And peace is not capitulation. Madam President, the democratic shield must be a keystone of this mandate. We are waiting for your proposal with impatience and with demand. But let us also start by applying the laws that already exist. Where is the investigation into the DSA? The fundamental principle of law is that when you break the rules, there is a sanction. And it is your responsibility to ensure that it is respected. Dear colleagues, the ramp is a stabilizing power. Our goal is peace, international order, the promotion of democracy. We have the assets to be a political power and a military power. It is time to assume this role.